Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the 11th episode of the Better Leader Podcast. My name's Logan. Glad you're joining us today. Hey, this month, something special is going on. Instead of just one episode, I'm actually going to be putting out 4 episodes, all based on the theme of winning friends and influencing people. As John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Here's what I know about you. You believe in what you're doing. You believe in the purpose, the vision, mission of either your life or the organization, business that you're a part of. And so you want to become more influential. You want to develop friendships. Now, here's the deal. I want to let you know something new that's happening as well is I can actually email you the leader guide to these episodes. So you can get a leader guide straight into your inbox that's going to break down the key principles of these lessons. And it's designed where you can actually go through this content with your team. You could have them listen to the podcast, and then you can go through and discuss the ideas and the principles that are present within these episodes. So if you want the leader guide, it's going to be in the show notes. You can click that link, subscribe to it, and we'll send you the leader notes every time we have a podcast. My promise to you is not to inundate your mailbox with a lot of messages. I'm only going to be sending an email when a new episode is out, and each time that will include the leader guide as well. And so I want to encourage you to do that and also to go through this content with your team. So winning friends and influencing people. At the top of the next 4 episodes, I'm going to give you 2 principles that can help you in winning friends and influencing people. So over the next 4 episodes, that's 8 principles that can help you to gain more influence. So let's start out with the first one today. This is the easiest one. I think it's the one that costs you the least, and that is smiling. Everybody take a second as you're listening. Go ahead and smile, right? As I'm talking to you about this right now, I'm smiling. It sounds cheesy, and it sounds, simple, but it is simple, but it is effective. Think of the people you know in your life that demonstrate a smile on their face, that just presents joy, it presents happiness, it presents a contentment with what they're doing, an excitement about what is going on. And some of you might be like, I already have this skill on lock. I just want to encourage you. Man, that's a great thing. Be glad that you have it. Some of y'all, you need to work on this and you need to smile more. We live in a culture where sometimes people, it's almost a badge of honor if you have kind of a resting face that is less than friendly. But I want to tell you, when you smile, it puts other people at ease. And it's free for you. It's free for you to smile. And I know one of my friends who I respect so much as a leader. His name is Ben. Ben has been in the military. You know, he's a man's man. He runs, he works out. He had a lot of different experience. He's jumped out of airplanes. He's been in military combat, all these different things, right? But what I know about Ben is he is tough, but he's always smiling. And I actually watched a guy recently who knew Ben from back whenever he was in college. He's like, Ben, you know what? You encouraged me so much because no matter what was going on, you were always able just to keep a smile on your face. Smiling is something that not only puts other people at ease and shows your joy, but it also motivates people to stay committed to the mission. I love walking through. My father-in-law is a leader at a high level in a hospital setting. I love going to stores with him or to places, and you go to a business, and my father-in-law is so good. He just has a smile on his face. He greets people around him, and I think that this is what makes him so effective in his leadership in the hospital setting as well, is because he just, you can see that joy on his face because he smiles. So my challenge to you is this week, smile more. And as you smile more, that becomes contagious to your team. And as your team smiles more, your customers are going to see that. The people who are a part of your organization are going to see that. This joy is contagious. And I think there's something to it of when things aren't going well as a leader, having the grit to say, you know what, I'm going to smile through this anyways, and I'm going to smile and show that I still love what I do. A smile doesn't cost you anything, but the rewards you get from it, the benefit you get from it is going to be great. So the first thing, if you want to influence more people, if you want to build more friendships, is smile. The second thing is this, is ask people questions. Recently, I just went to a pharmacy. I was picking up a prescription, and I had went the day before, and it wasn't ready. I had a customer service interaction with an employee there, and it was not, there was nothing wrong with it necessarily. It was just less than ideal in a sense of hospitality. It was very short. I could tell that this person maybe wasn't having a great day. I don't know if that was their normal demeanor or not. Well, the prescription wasn't ready. So I came back the next day, and this time I went inside to pick up the prescription. And the same person who helped me the day before was helping me this time as well. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to make it my mission to start a conversation with this person. So I asked him the simple question, hey, how's your day going? How's your day going? And, I typically try to ask people this, whether it's a cashier, someone taking my order somewhere, a waiter or waitress, whoever it is. I want to ask them, hey, how's your day going? Maybe no one all day has stopped to ask them that. And I got kind of a pretty generic response from this individual as I asked him that, but I just kept kind of conversing with him and a little bit of small talk, if you will. I know some people hate small talk, but you should become a master in being able to have small conversations with people. It's not a bad thing. And as I began talking, then I noticed this individual, I was holding my son in my arms, they started interacting with my son. And then I see this more joyful side of their attitude coming about. And what could have been a very normal, ordinary interaction where I have no conversation with this individual, I didn't have to, I suddenly get this connection with them going, and our just exchange of medication, right, becomes something that's more meaningful. And I saw that this person had more to their personality than just this pretty base level interaction that I had the day before. And so that shows you the power of asking questions. If you want to build influence, you have to ask other people questions. Ask them about themselves. Ask them about their families. Ask them about how their life was growing up. Now, it's important. You don't want to do this in an intrusive manner, but you want to do this in a way that is not overwhelming to the person. You can definitely get weird with this very quickly. I want to reference you back to when I had Andrew Albritton, a friend of mine who is a master in communicating, on the podcast. He, in his second episode, you can find it. I can actually throw the link in the description as well, that he talks about how you don't want to cross the line of being too intrusive. There is a balance there in asking people questions. But when you take an interest in other people and when you take the initiative in being a person of curiosity, it develops relationships in a way that you might not ever know. I remember one time I took my son out to eat. It was my wife, my son, and I. We took our son out to eat for his birthday. And we sat next to a person, and it was kind of awkward. We sat how close we sat to him. But I just began asking him questions. I'm like, hey, I'm sitting here with this individual anyways. And I got to hear a little bit about their life and some of the experience that they had. This person had been a dentist, and I got to hear just some cool stories about their interaction within the community where I live. And it was just this really neat conversation. And upon leaving, this man, knowing that it was my son's birthday, actually decided that he was going to pay for our meal. And I remember that was not an expectation I had. That was not something that I was hoping for, but because of my interest in this individual, it opened up a door that maybe this guy wouldn't have done that otherwise. And so you never know what opportunities might be out there when you decide to be an initiative taker in asking questions. So 2 things you can do this week that are going to impact your leadership. You can smile more, and you can ask people questions. This is going to grow your influence, and leadership is influence. Pivoting here, I want to tell you all about a book I've just began listening to, and it's about the swamp fox during the American Revolution. So the swamp fox is a man that's a nickname for Francis Marion, who is sometimes credited as being the man who saved the American Revolution. Now, if you know anything about warfare during this time, we see the reenactments and whatnot, people lining up across a field, and during the American Revolution, there was a point in time where those who were not on the British side, right? The Americans, if you will, they were actually being slaughtered and losing some key battles. But Francis Marion had a different approach to warfare. It's actually kind of what would begin to be called guerrilla warfare. And the reason he was called the Swamp Fox, because in the swamps of the Carolinas, he would actually retreat with his men, and they would hide out there, and then they would plan their next attacks. And now they never had, there was not this large-scale victory they inflicted upon the British Empire, but they were a nuisance. They cost the British time and energy and resources, and it was a thorn really in the side of the British exploits. And so Francis Marion's really charged with altering the course of the war, because he did something new where warfare at that time looked much different. He implemented these tactics of guerrilla warfare, which now commonplace within battles and whatnot is guerrilla warfare. But this was new during that time. He wasn't afraid to try something new. Now, I'm not making light of war. War is a terrible thing, and I obviously wish that that was never the case and we didn't have to have this example. But it is an example of doing something new can be effective. And that's my challenge to you. Is there something in your industry, in your field, that you feel compelled to try to do it in a new way? Something new can sometimes yield something that you never even expected to happen. Let me give you this example and brag on one of my friends, Rob Lyons. Whenever we graduated from college at the church that we are engaged in, High Street Church in Springfield, the church that I now work at. At this time, I wasn't an employee. Rob was. And after we graduated from college, we just felt this burden of, man, we need to start a ministry, a place for people in our stage of life where we can gather and we can have community. And it's Rob who started doing research, and it was really his idea initially of trying to do something like this. And he started looking, and there were some other ministries that were newer that were doing this same thing across the United States. It wasn't an idea brand new to him, but he had the courage to begin to do something new. And this was actually the start of our young adults ministry. Now you're looking at over 10 years ago, a decade ago, when this new thing started. And now I look, and this is a ministry I work in every single day. We've seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people walk through our doors over the course of this decade. We've seen a lot of life change happen, and we've seen God move in some really cool ways. And that was because Rob had the courage to start something new. And when you start something new, it isn't easy. You're going to go through the hard period when you start something new. And one of the hardest things is getting other people on board with it. Often when you have a vision for something new, you're going to be the first person that's going to implement that. There's a little bit of putting yourself out there that can be kind of scary whenever you start something new. Other people, even in your organization, even who maybe have the same passions as you, might not see it yet. And you have to be a leader in the forefront in trying something new. But there's courage in putting yourself out there. One of the things that I think plagues so many businesses and organizations is they stop dreaming about new ways to do things. As you drive around your town or your city and you see businesses that have closed down, they've often failed to adapt to do something new, whether their industry changed or maybe they were in the hospitality industry or the food industry, and what started out as something new, it became very stale and became very stagnant. You have to fight for finding new ways to do things. Now, you're going to do some things new, and it's not going to work out, and that's okay. You want to be at least somewhat cautious in doing something new. I'm not saying you should try every idea that's out there, but if you feel compelled to do something new and to try something new, I would say, man, take that risk and take that chance. And as you talk through it, and as you get wisdom from it, and as you put the idea out there, and as it's refined, if you have wise people around you, they're going to begin to see it as well. And so that's just my challenge in thinking through that and looking at the story of Francis Marion and implementing these new tactics and new strategies. He kind of flipped the script, and doing something new, he found a new level of effectiveness. And I wonder, what's something new you could do as well? The last thing I want to leave you with this is I recently had the opportunity to go back to my alma mater, my high school, and speak to a group of student leaders. There was 18 student leaders that gathered together. And I was just so impressed with their leadership capacity at such a young age. Now, sometimes people view me at 33 as still a young leader, and I'm happy to be called young at this point. But as I spent time around these individuals who are 16, 17, 18 years old, I was so impressed. And you know what I saw is that as we talked about their school and maybe the problems that they faced at their school, they saw it. They saw it as leaders did already. And it was a reminder to me that leadership, it doesn't have like an age requirement. These individuals, high school students, they were already leading at really what I would consider is a high capacity for their stage and for their age and in their place where they were. And so it reminded me of when we think about age in leadership, there is a benefit to being older in leadership. You have wisdom and you have experience that other people, someone who's younger than you, just can't have. I look at some of the older individuals that I get to spend time around. I don't call them older to their face, but some of the more seasoned leaders that I get to spend time around. I'm so thankful for them because some of the things that I'm walking through for the first time, they already walked through that 30 years ago, or they have 30 years of experience that you can lean into and that you can glean understanding from. Now, I think the risk of being an older leader is you think that you know it all because you've already been there, and so you don't listen to people who are younger than you. Now, I look at young leaders. They have a fire and a fervent spirit that sometimes older leaders can lose. And so we have to lean into their youthful energy, their fresh perspective, and their new ideas. But what plagues young leaders oftentimes, from what I've seen, is that they think that they know everything already. And if you think that you know everything already, you're not going to be in a position where you can learn from someone who's further along than you are. And so regardless of your age and your stage, I think it's important to keep a humility, to surround yourself with people that are in a different age and are of a different age and in a different stage. You need to have people older than you who can give you insight. You also want to surround yourself with people who are younger than you as well. Well, I hope all these things have been helpful. I hope you'll try new things that you feel encouraged about. I hope that, you'll surround yourself with leaders who are younger than you and leaders who are older than you. But I also hope that as you seek to gain influence and develop friends and win people around you, that you would smile more and that also you would ask people questions and take an interest in them. I want to thank y'all for joining us today. Don't forget to grab that leader guide, and we'll see y'all next week.